in my view, the proactive approach not only is for just offering some sort of a pragmatic approach, but also in action also it should be shown. Number of times the ODS proposal given by the borrower prima facie appears very genuine, but only because market value of the security available is more than the amount offered, they don't accept it. I do not know what connection it is. Wherein the RBI guidelines are very clear that available security should not be any criteria for settlement. However, bankers may have their own compulsion, bankers may have their own guidelines, but it is high time, whether it is board of the banks or other competent authority, either Ministry of Finance or RBI, they should probably try to work out some more practical solutions, because it is a public money. General manager or deputy general manager or even the competent authority of the bank may find sometimes very difficult to sacrifice that amount, because then there are a lot of allegations of corruption and other favors and other things. This is one part of it, and Lok Adalat will never be successful whether it is taken at the forum of DRT or at the forum of legal services, if the intention of the parties are not to settle. If the bankers are not ready to sacrifice, may not be to the extent the borrower is seeking, but a substantial sacrifice, no settlement can be there. DRTs are only to stamp the settlement. They can assess definitely whether it covers under the Sardar Associates, but even that assessment requires a lot of calculations, a lot of jugglery of calculation, I should say. Sometimes very difficult for laymen like me to understand what is floating rate, how it will be calculated from period to period, what will be the compounding effect. Sometimes it becomes a nightmare for a person like me, who is not having a qualification in accountancy. This is one part. Another aspect is our bankers are not taking interest in litigation pending in DRT. Prima facie, I am saying with all excuse, with all humility, that if my DRT have asked me to prepare a list of pending cases which we got transferred from Jaipur in 2000. Today only I was reviewing that why these 70-80 cases are still pending in spite of our best efforts. For last 10 years or 13 years in DRT Chandigarh, these cases are still pending, mainly for two reasons. Either service has not been completed by the bank or the defendants, or pleadings have not been completed by the bank, or evidence has not been laid as per the procedure. And for either, I don't know for what reason, rather I should not comment, even though I know that for last 13 years the matters are still pending, whereas the law is that it has to be finalized within 180 days. Even in OAS, that is original application, there are many instances where I have improved the cost for taking dates time and again, even to the bank council. But sometimes bank councils take a stand that this cost has to be paid from the pocket, so because the bank is not going to reimburse, so kindly sir, pay this cost. And because of our more closeness with our part, sometimes I have to agree that it has to be gone by the lawyer. Why should I punish the lawyer? That is also not a solution. I do not know then what where the solution is. Legislation have done their job, they have finished the case in 180 days. and they have given all powers, but procedures and bankers non-cooperation or bankers non-initiative, it leads to a solution or situation where OS filed at the inception of Chandigarh DRT are still pending, say 13 years. Even in the new OS which are being filed, say last 2 years or 3 years before me, even in those cases also, still I have to see the service has been completed. It is the first process of the litigation, the completion of service on the other side. Because of the pendency, they know very well that the case will be getting adjourned for 4-5 months. Because we have our own limitation, we cannot keep more than 50-60 cases per day. As on date, we have already started November 2013 for next case. So say if case is not taken up seriously or as per the procedure, then it will get adjourned for 5 months. I hope that it is for the litigant, or rather I feel rather, not hope only, I feel also that it is for the litigant to pursue the advocates. Until and unless litigant take interest, take proper initiative, proper briefing to the counsel, what is the action required, and change the counsel, you cannot expect quick results. This is our legal system. Counsels are quite busy, they have 10, 15, 20 matters in a day. Whomsoever litigant stands on their head or keep chasing them, they will take their brief first. Otherwise, who just write some letters, they keep their and they have a very poor fees, schedule of fees, as normally. I have also got in the public sector undertaking. I know that what is the schedule of fees payable to the advocate. How you can expect some good advocate, some busy advocate to take interest if you are paying so poorly to the counsel? So these are all aspects which we have to look into as far as litigation is concerned. As far as securitization applications are concerned, I can share with you that in my short tenure of 2.5 years, I can find number of examples where I find that authorized officers have not at all complied with very simple provisions of law. There are, the Securitization Act is very simple law. It is not at all complicated. Rules framed under there is also very simple. They have laid down certain procedure, how the notices have to be served, whether 32 notice, how it is to be served, then the party has to make representation, how it is to be disposed, when it is to be disposed, then 34 notice and possession notice, how to be published, how to be served. This is everything very sort of simple. Such a simple issue, such a simple provision cannot be complied by the authorized officer. I do not know for what reason. Either there is a lack of training or maybe over enthusiasm to recover the money. I do not know what it is, but chief manager level officer who are supposed to have good IQ, they fail to even keep proper record of service, like 13-2 notice. In probably 10-20% cases, a borrower can always alleges that he has not received 32 notice at all. Let us start just beginning. 32 notice he has not received. When it comes to placing on record the service proof, bankers sometimes are unable to provide. They rely upon that he has admitted the receipt of the notice. What prevented them to keep a separate folder for receipt of all the notices by the guarantor? is being mixed up with their journal ledgers, if there is a system of, they know that it will be required someday. So they should keep a proper filing system with them. Similarly, 13 4 notice. Then 13, first it will come 13 3 representation. On sometime Bank of SLB have not received at all the representation. But sometime afterwards, they file the reply along with their reply given by the borrower. What kind of assessment one can make? Why this reply was first denied, and when the borrower place on record along with their application, they say that yes, this was there. Again 34 notice, very simple procedure given. Positional notice, very simple procedure. How it is to be served, whether it is personal service, whether it is relation, whether it is by post, whether it is by affixation. It is very simple. If they are given proper training, say maybe just a capsule course of 2 hours, everybody can understand. It is not at all complicated. Because of these fallacies, tribunals have to give state. Then then bankers feel that tribunals are trying to hinder the recovery. Tribunals are definitely there to fasten the expedite the recovery, but they are also judicial bodies. We cannot allow injustice to happen. Equity demands that proper hearing should be given to the party. If that is lacking, then sometimes it becomes very difficult us to support the bank. Same way goes for recovery proceedings. Bankers do not give details of the property for 10, 15 years. Recovery are pending. In our data, recovery of 2,000 crores are pending, but effective recovery may be not more than 200 crores. They have already moved the property under the Securitization Act. No application for withdrawal of RC has been filed, or adjustment of the RC or reissue of the RC has been filed. It is very simple. If there was an initial recovery of 100 crores, if they have already recovered 20 crores, they can either make an application for amended recovery certificate, or at least they can inform the recovery officer that 20 crores they have already recovered. They will wait till, and even in the OA, during the pendency of the OA also, they have recovered certain amounts under the Securitization Act, but never give any assessment, or they never give any adjustment application. So these are the issues which we have to educate, we have to assess, we have to see that what is the effect of all this. Effect is that as on date we have more than 3,000 cases pending. Effect is that we are not able to decide cases, what to say in 180 days, even in 5 years we cannot able to decide. Effect is that TRTs are defamed. They are defamed that nothing is progressing there. Once case is filed, it is stuck up. If once we start expediting them, then there is lot of protest. If we give short dates, then they say that why you are giving such short dates. If we give long dates, then they say that after 5 months next hearing is coming. So these are the issues which all of us have to deliberate. We have to see what corrective measures are required to be taken, whether at the bank level. We are there to help the bank. I have invited all the heads of the bank number of times in my chamber also to understand what are their difficulties. Everybody comes and promises that they will coordinate with their lawyers or will pursue more effectively, but I am not able to see any result in the last 2 years. Same progress, same attitude continues. So with this passage, I don't think you can effectively use the forum of the ART. The ART forum is very useful, even for settlement. Even if some settlements are not covered under the RBI guidelines, there is some power to DRT and the Sardar Associates that we can push those kind of settlements on. But until unless bankers agree, either formally or otherwise, we cannot push those kind of settlements. Number of times in my chamber, I have told my colleague lawyers that, and the bankers also, that you are not effectively using the DRT. You are not using the DRT in a sense that there is lot of scope for equity to be applied, because equity has no definition at all. Equity is common sense. Equity is natural justice. Don't go into very complicated calculations. Simple calculations, matter can be studied. Now coming to issue of NPA, and Mr. Bhatia was referring to my judgment, because I know that is my judgment, where the security values are more than the outstanding dues, whether that can be classified as substandard or not. I appreciate that this kind of finding will hamper the recovery of the bank. But what I do when the RBI itself has defined the substandard asset. Substandard asset has been very clearly defined by RBI that the cases, the accounts where the security, value of the security or the net worth is more than the outstanding amount, those will not be classified as NPA, as substandard. And under section 2.0, it is very clear that until any NPA has to be either substandard or default or loss. I am open for debate. I feel that this topic needs to be debated. More time should be spent on this. I have yet to, only some prima facie view has been given. In one of the case I have also given the final verdict also. There is no stay by the appeal court in that matter. It appears that prima facie, even the appeal court has some finding, has some view that this is an arguable point at least. But my layman understanding as a non-banker is that where the value of security is more than the outstanding dues, the banker should wait for a while instead of just declaring the account NPA after 3 or 4 defaults. They need to wait little more because there is no risk for them to lose their money. Substandard asset will continue for just maximum 1 year. They have to just wait for 1 year, and then they can classify the account in the second category. Once it falls under the second category, there is no issue of availability of the security. Give some breathing time to the defaulter. Like a house loan, always there will be a property value will be much more than the outstanding due. Why you are just declaring the account NPA just after default of 3 or 4 installments? If there is some default, give some more breathing time. Why a person will take a housing loan? Because he was not having his own money. He had his own expectation of some earning, but because of certain reasons, they are not continuing. Give some more time. There is no risk because the property value is already more than your outstanding dues. So why not wait for 6-7 months or a year? Give him more chance to restructure by restructuring the flow. That was the probably idea of the RBI also. That where the security value is more than the outstanding dues, the bank should give some more time for repayment and keep a close watch on the progress of the payment. But still, if continues for more than 1 year, then definitely it can be classified in the second category. I may be wrong. No view can be seen in an absolute manner. I never pretend that, or I am firm believer of the knowing that law is an ocean. Every day we are learning. My interpretation may be wrong. Appeals are there, appellate courts are there, High Court is there, Supreme Court is there. They have to correct our views. Even sometimes they have to correct their own view after 2-3 years. Even some bench, their own bench, one bench says something, second bench says something. So it is a matter of interpretation. Nobody is perfect. But as a non-banker, as even a person who has no previous experience of banking law, I am just guided by common sense and common law of interpretation. If RBI guidelines are very clear, there is no confusion in interpretation, then until and unless RBI revises its own guidelines, or either Indian Bankers Association or somebody intervene and try to take up the matter, or if there is some clarification given by some higher court in some other case, then it is a different issue. Lastly, but most important, presiding officer or anybody on the judicial chair, also a human being, errors can be there. There can be genuine mistakes also in interpretation. There can be two interpretations possible for the same issue. There can be a case where one interpretation which is taken looks to be absurd by one party, and for another party it looks to be very, very promising. For bankers, there can be one interpretation. For borrower, it can be different interpretation. So let us not close our mind. Let us work with open mind. Even as a banker, first you are a human being. First you are a man of conscience. Try to see whether the default, because when I was interviewed for the post of presiding officer, the head of the bench, head of the committee asked me, what do you know about the banking law? I said, zero. I do not know anything about banking law at all, except some law regarding Negotiable Instrument Act, or deferral of the check, or some newspaper information regarding Securitization Act, where it is said that it is a draconian law, and all kind of comments were made. But whatever law is there, unscrupulous elements can always take advantage of it. A simple man cannot. Unscrupulous elements will find their way how to get interpretation in their favor. Why not banking industry thrive on recovery for more than 50 crore or 100 crore cases? Why they are more? Everybody knows in Securitization Act they are able to get recovery of 5-10 lakh loan people, but they are not able to recover loan from higher defaulters, more prosperous defaulters, say more than 10 crore or 15 crore, whatever. I am not giving any benchmark, but they are able to succeed against poor defaulters, but they are not able to sell the property of the rich people, affluent people, because they are able to take advantage of legal system. So they should be more sympathetic with people who do not have means to fight the litigation. They should be more open-minded. In last, I will thanks a lot to the forum who has given me chance to have. But I have already said, I came here to be educated rather than give lecture. I have just shared with you experience, some of my experience, but these are never ending. We can keep talking about these issues for hours. I hope this forum will organize some more meaningful debates where either prominent lawyers from Supreme Court or good academicians, Reserve Bank people or IMF people, they should interact and try to see that what is the purpose of this seminar. The seminar is to educate each other, to get more benefit from experience of the people. And at least I look forward to participate in such seminar as a participant, not as a chief guest. Thanks a lot.
Respected Chancellor, who has made all of us aware of several things which, despite so many years, we were not aware of. The mathematical theory of zero also we learned today. I never knew that zero is that much remunerative.
Provided it is in the right
Time.
right side of
He has actually shared with us so many things pertaining to his practical experience, which I am sure are bound to benefit all of us. I also am one with him on his views that probably among us the bankers also various workshops are required to make them conversant about the system. A very, very unhealthy and convenient thing is that people plead that they don't know the law, but if we scan the system, we find there is nothing like law. It is all common things, absolutely common things. The way we find the subject of medical jurisprudence, when we don't know to whom does it belong to a doctor or to a advocate or a judicial person. The same way, this is also like being a banker's jurisprudence. I don't know to whom negotiable instruments belong to, or to a banker or to an advocate surfacing. If we actually find among us the total workforce on professional side, not as much percentage of lawyers are aware of surfacing as the bankers know of surfacing. So that way, another interesting thing I would share with you on this particular context. One day while waiting for the term in Debts Recovery Tribunal, a banker posed a very, very interesting question to me. He asked, जगह साहब ये DRT हमारे ऊपर बाइंडिंग है? A scale 4%. I could simply tell him that he had posed such a fundamental question that I have to make study in order to answer the same. So I am really indebted to Mr. Jain, who has enlightened us so much out of the exact practical experience which we would not have known otherwise. And ladies and gentlemen, now I'll come to the next part of our today's program, the presentation of mementos. I'll first of all request Mr. G.S. Anand, our worthy member, to please present a memento to Mr. A.K. Jain. Mr. G.S. Anand, please come. Hi. I'll request our senior member, Mr. Pasricha, to come and present the memento to Mr. I.S. Bhatia, General Manager, DSP. Mr. Pasricha, to please come.
This is also designed for office.
I'll request Mr. Gaurav Goel, currently our working Deputy General Manager. Our member to please present it when it's gone. Present a memento to Mr. S.P. Mansal, our past president, our founder president. He is not among us today on account of being unwell. I can talk with him just for the today's. Mr. Satija to please present a memento to Mr. Vivek Verma ji on behalf of Mr. Randeep Chawla, who has not been able to be with us today. I request Mr. Rohit Sapra, Honorable Member of the Bar, please.
Banji, ex-president of the DRT, to present a book to Mr. Chadha and to honor. It is in the Greek shade. It's a book written by one of the legendary living Indian legend of the Indian legal fraternity, Phalius Nariman, the other state of nation. And he's urged the lawyers, particularly the young lawyers, to please save the Constitution of India. What a wonderful book he has written. And in one of the para he has written that I was invited by all the Supreme Court judges in one of the 5-star hotels. I went there, I was waiting for my turn for the lift.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are heading to another important event of the day, that is the release of the directive pertaining to the last financial year. I request Mr. G.S. Anand, our honorable member, to please present the directive to Mr. A.K. Jain. I'll be mentioned that it's a matter of real pleasure and privilege for us that one of our members, Mr. Shyam Sundar Garg of the bar, who was elevated to be the initial member of Railway Claims Tribunal and posted in Chandigarh, is fortunately among us. I am obliged for sparing his time for coming to this program function. I request Mr. Devan Singh Sharma, our past president, to present a bouquet to Mr. Shyam Sundar Garg.
Honorable Mr. A.K. Jain, Chief Guest of the Day, Honorable Guest of Honor, Mr. Bhatia, Honorable ECM Mr. Sarni,
my friends, Hospital President Mr. V.S. Anand, Mr. K.K. Jagga, in absentia Mr. S.S. Malik, Vishwan Pratap Aurwar, Mr. Ranjit Chawla, is not present today. The officers of the DRT, registrar, recovery officers, and the other officers of the bank, executives, all the banks. I have personally went to the banks yesterday and day before yesterday, inviting all the banks, the executives of the banks to attend the seminar, so that we should interact with the bankers and the advocates. Our aim is to get the faster recovery of the NPAs. So we have chosen this topic of the role of DRT, the recovery of the NPAs. As our Honorable Chief Guest has said very rightly that the NPA law is very simple. It looks so. It is very simple law. As per RBI guidelines, what is an NPA for the last 90 days? If the interest is not serviced or the installments are not coming, then the account becomes empty. Says RBI. RBI further says, as Mr. Bhatia said, that while classifying an account as NPA, the value of the securities should not be taken into account. Very right. But here is the question, the taking the action under the SARFAESI Act, what should be there? It is not a question that the account is not NPA. Account is NPA. It is classified as NPA within 90 days. If the interest is not serviced or the installments are not coming out. But the legislature, by amending the Act, proceed under the SARFAESI Act. If the account is not classified as substandard, and substandard with that effect from 3rd of May 2005. If the substandard account is that account of a borrower where the property, value of the property or net worth of the borrowers or guarantors is more than the recoverable amount. So this is a disputed question, and I have taken this issue vehemently before the Honorable, our Chief Guest, and I argued in this case, in one case, and I convinced that SARFAESI action cannot be taken. So it seems that there are some contradictions. No, there is no contradiction. Law is very clear. The intention of the legislature is very clear that the bank should not take action under the SARFAESI Act for 1 year if the securities are, value of the securities are higher than the recoverable amount. Then what should the bank do? Bank should go under the RDDRI Act, take a degree, recovery certificate within 6 months, 180 days. It is written in the law. Take the degree and then go for sale of the property. It will definitely 1 year's time. So banks should take. Why our country is a social democratic country? This legislature has to see so many things before enacting some act. So why there was a need to amend this act? This act came in the year 2000 and it was amended in 2004. This section 2 more mechanism was specifically amended. Before 11th of November 2004, the definition of NPA under Section 2O of the SARFAESI Act was that the NPA is the bad account of the borrower which has been classified as substandard, doubtful or loss under the RBI guidelines. But in the amended the definition, it says that NPA is the bad account of a borrower which has been classified substandard, doubtful or loss by the statutory authority of the bank. Statutory authority of the bank means the board of directors of a bank will take a decision which account should be classified as such. Then the law, statutory law is there that the RBI guidelines are binding on the banks. Central Bank of India versus India. Banks are bound to abide by the directions of the Reserve Bank of India. So there are some contradictions between the guidelines of the Reserve Bank of India and the SARFAESI Act. Who will do these anomalies? Only the Parliament can do so. So before going to the details, this is not a detail, the topic is that the role of DRT in the recovery of NPAs. So I am sorry that we have very few speakers and this issue has not been taken by in its true spirit as it would have been. So I am saying that these tribunals have been created by the Act of Parliament for the faster recovery of the dues of the bank. Faster recovery. As Mr. Zeta said that one chief minister came from Hyderabad for filing a suit of 16 crores and now before the DRT, I think this is a specially created institutions for the recovery of the NPAs of the banks. So the DRTs have a major role. This is the only institution. The Supreme Court of India said in the Satyavasi criminal case that these are the courts which are to help the banks in the recovery of the NPAs. NPA is a slur on the economy of the country. It should be recovered. Because if the NPAs are not recovered, the economic development of the country is hampered. So the law is, some person says that it is a draconian law. SARFAESI Act is a draconian law. But it is a stringent, strict law because the NPAs are increasing day by day. Even after it seems that this act has also lost significance because this year I was reading in the newspaper that there is a growth of 22% in the NPAs. So this is also not going to help. As our Chief Justice said, that this law is helping the banks to recover the NPA from the smaller borrowers, 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 50 lakhs. Their properties are easily sold because they cannot come to the DRTs for taking the low fees. They are unable to pay to the lawyers. If there is some adverse order from the DRT, then the payment of 50% or 25% before the DRT, they cannot go to appeal. So it is very, very, very good act so far as the small borrowers are concerned to the bankers. The NPAs are increasing day by day, not because of some small borrowers are there. Friends, I share with you that I have spent 28 bright years of my life in banks. I am a banker. So I have seen the practical in banking industry is what is happening. Targets are given to the banks, your advancement is there. There are certain procedural lapses while advancing. And unscrupulous elements take advantage of those lapses on the part of the banks. Securities are taken, bring some registry of some documents are not searched. There are so many things. NPA, one account turns NPA, not in a day. Not in a day. There must be some, maybe some instances where the man is, the person, the borrower is a fraudulent borrower and he takes the money from the bank by illegal means. He can be a willful departure from the day one, but the account is not in all the cases it is also. This 90 days declaration of the account in 90 days, this is a very harsh issue. So, but we can't do anything. Then what the bank should do? The bank should, while declaring the account, should see what is the actual position of the borrower. Actual position of the borrower. And I have seen, practically I have seen that before classifying an account as NPA, we have always taken that such and such borrower is in difficulty, otherwise he is a very good borrower. So banks are taking these issues like this also. So today I am not a speaker, I am given the duty of a word of thanks in the last when my friend Mr. Jagga has said. So anytime okay. Now I asked Mr. Sarangi to announce. Okay, now he said that he also wants to address the house, but I welcome the board, and I will continue my vote of thanks.
He became a speaker by default.
Dignitaries on the dais and off the dais. Actually, I was not told to speak, but there is a overgrowing NPA in the banking industry, first of all. And all Mr. Honorable Jain is told, I think I as a banker would be very happy if the RBI changes its policy guidelines of classifying an NPA account if the property value is more than the outstanding. I will be the first person, I will be the person. So that is not so. The IRAC norms is very, very well defined and it's very objective. There is no subjectivity in that. But when we come to practical aspect of classifying an account as NPA or not, generally we are, as bankers, we are not that urged to classify just because of 90 days there has been no interest servicing or income. In case of retail loans, I think we persuade the borrowers at least from the beginning so that the areas in the account doesn't go beyond 3 months. It is very practical. If a person if I am a salary person and I have a commitment to pay, if I don't pay continuously for 2 months, from where on earth I can get that money to pay to the bank? So that is, unless you have some financial discipline from the beginning, that 90 days is also a reasonable period given by the Reserve Bank of India for classifying the NPA. Of course, for big ticket advances, the situation is far different, because many times big borrowers, what they do is, I will give an example. For any term lending we do, the borrowers become very much ambitious and speaks that okay, he will complete the project in say 18 months. but he could have taken 24 months or 30 months. So where the COD is not complete, then it becomes an NPA for technical reasons. So many things for big advances, technical aspects are taken into account. But for retail segments, for people who are salaried class, I think bankers take a lenient view. Even if 3 months payment is not done now, we request them and say that you pay it. And the major reason for NPA is first diversion of funds and second is policy logjam by the government of India. I think the brunt of the NPA now in banking industry is from maybe the core sector, that is power, electricity and all these 8 sectors which are classified in the core sector, because there is a policy logjam or policy failure by the government of India where there is no coal supply or something like that. So all these accounts, big power projects have failed, for which the level of NPA for the industry has increased manifold. Last 3 years it has been increasing. It is entire industry is facing increase in NPA. This is one aspect. And the second aspect of NPA is willful default by the borrowers and diversion of funds. Mostly we see, I think, this cascaded system of delivery of credit is only prevalent in India, nowhere else. And practically I'll tell you that when you are having a cash credit, the checks come and it is only for 12 minutes or 15 minutes we know whether to pass or not to pass. Whether it is going directly for the benefit or for the use of the business or not, we do not know. The check is passed, whether it is actually going to the business purpose or for buying a BMW, we do not know. Because the limit is there and it is diverted. So once the diversion takes place, I don't think it is easy for any of the entrepreneurs or a borrower to serve the interest or the installment or anything. So this is the major reason of NPA these days. We find most of the accounts have become NPA because of diversion, and some big ticket advances I have told, like big corporates and all, because of the policy guidelines. So there is a government has not framed the rules and regulations properly. India is an emerging country, it is coming under the BRICS. So while India is having so much of NPA, still we have a robust regulatory system. I think if RBI would not have been here as a regulator, I think more than 15 to 20% of our loans would have gone also NPA. So we take our recovery measures right from the beginning. Day one we monitor the account. If we take just like that every account we classified as NPA in 90 days, then whatever figures shown by the bank, I think that is not, that may be still more. So it is not that we are showing, we don't like, we can show or classify any account as NPA at our own peril. Banks will never like to see, witness that the NPA figures is increasing. If NPA is increasing, I think we are hitting our bottom line. We have to provide for the whatever provisions we have to make. So as bankers, they do not want any account to be classified as NPA. We don't classify the account. Only at the last moment when there is no other way, we have to classify the account as NPA. Even there is an interest period of even 6, 7 months, 8 months, it is not coming, so it is again classified. We are also subjected to various audits, statutory audits, internal audit. They also verify the accounts. And now the system is generating the NPA. There is nothing, no manual intervention of classification of NPA. And we have to also, tell to our auditors that this is actually not NPA. We have to plead with them and see that it is not classified. So it is not at all correct that banks will always like to put the account under NPA and resort to SARFAESI or DRT or anything. So I would request that banks always want that there should be less and less of NPA, because we have got the target also. So why should we classify NPA and reduce? I mean, how you have given a target of recovery, you have given a target of this thing, NPA, CPS will not go beyond that. So with this, I think the major reasons for NPA is only these two aspects. First is the corporate big ticket advances where there is some policy this thing, and secondly is for retail segment and all, and some business, small business where there is diversion. If we can, people they maintain some financial discipline for the small borrowers, I think there will not be any slippage and any addition to our NPA. Thank you very much.
Aspects in this regard, it is true that NPAs, non-performing assets or not profitable for anyone, this deserves to be curbed, no doubt about it. Now, the clock is right in front of me. I'm conscious of the fact that in every meeting, 7 letters are for eating and only 1 for him. So I request all the honorable present members to please join for dinner after this. My friend Mr. Divan Singh Sharma will close.
अब एमपीए के ऊपर और बात नहीं, क्योंकि उन्होंने अनाउंस कर दिया कि खाने का टाइम हो गया। तो मैं आप सब लोगों का तहे दिल से शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहता हूँ कि आपने अपना कीमती समय दिया और हमें अनुग्रह किया है। मैं हृदय से अपनी फोरम की तरफ से और मैं अपनी बिहार से और डीआरटी बार एसोसिएशन की तरफ मैं आप लोगों का शुक्रगुजार हूँ कि आपने आज अपना समय निकालकर यहाँ आए और हमें मदद किया। धन्यवाद। My friend says that in the end we should stand for national